This week I've been spending time with this 2025 Hyundai Santa Cruz Limited. Price as tested is just over $44,000. This is equipped with the 2.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder and an 8-speed dual clutch automatic. And this is my personal 2025 Honda Ridgeline RTL. This is also about $45,000. So I thought, why not compare both trucks side by side as they share a similar segment. And maybe by the end of this video, I will have helped you answer the question on which one is good for you. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started by looking at the beds. Funny enough, both of these have stamped tailgates, which is hilarious. It seems like most manufacturers are starting to do this nowadays. Let's start with the Santa Cruz. You get a dampened tailgate here, and this limited model does come with a tonneau cover. Pretty easy to slide open. You do get adjustable bed rails as well for tie down points in each of the corners, storage over here, bed lighting, very nice. And under here, you do get a trunk. It's not as big as the Honda Ridgeline, which we'll look at in a second, but at least you have one. This vehicle does also come with a spare tire. It is underneath the vehicle as a regular truck. This bed is about 4 feet long, and it's not as wide as the Ridgeline, as we will take a look at in a second, but it's super nice that you do get this tonneau cover included, although it does kind of impede bed space just a little bit. It does come with this handy dandy strap to pull it back. Latches nicely and folds right up. Do get a bed step back here so you can climb into the bed easier. And over here on my personal Ridgeline, the tailgate is not dampened, it just slams right down, but that is okay because it also opens this way to allow for easier access to the bed. Now under here, you do get a lot of space. Your spare tire is under here, and this trunk can hold groceries, suitcases. As you can see, this bed is a lot wider, and it is 5 feet instead of 4, so you do get a lot bigger bed. Tie downs all over the place as well. You don't have the adjustable bed rails though. Bed lighting over here, got some storage over here. This is definitely a lot more usable if you want to use it for truck purposes. And both of them do have this composite bed liner as well. Now, both of these vehicles, I was able to fit lawnmowers, weed eaters, and leaf blowers in the back of, although this one, obviously the weed eater can fit diagonally perfectly, but on this one, it can't, and the weed eater kind of just hangs out up here. So that 4-foot bed does have its limitations, but you're still able to do truck stuff with this. Overall, the proportions of the Ridgeline are a little bit bigger than the Hyundai Santa Cruz. It's a little bit longer, it's a little bit wider. Both, I think, look pretty good. And the not a real truck segment that everybody likes to call these things. Let's go ahead and check out the back seat in both of these vehicles. Do have nice leather seating here in the limited Santa Cruz. It does lift up to reveal a nice storage compartment on both sides. The other side has your spare tire jack. You get a cup holder in the door, a couple map pockets, a couple vents, a couple USB-C ports, pull down center armrest with a couple cup holders. Quick shot of the dash. Very nice, futuristic, high tech. Do get a sunroof in this Santa Cruz as well. I'm 6 foot. The driver's seat is in my position. I have about 3 or 4 inches of headroom and about an inch of legroom. It is kind of cramped for adults on longer road trips. They do tend to get a little bit fatigued back here. So here in the Ridgeline, these doors definitely open wider, and these seats go all the way up to unveil a much more usable back seat. I believe Honda says you can fit a full-size mountain bike back here, keeping the tire on. Back here is still a very nice place to be. You get map pockets, a couple of vents, got a 12-volt outlet back here, no USB-C ports unfortunately, and a pull-down center armrest with a couple cup holders. I'm 6 foot. The driver's seat is actually slid back a little bit because it has this easy exit function where it slides the driver's seat back. I have about 4 inches of headroom, and I actually would have a little bit more legroom than I would have in the Santa Cruz by about like a ½ inch when the driver's seat would be slid up in my correct position. This does have a more stadium seating position than the Santa Cruz. I can see over the driver and over the passenger, which is kind of nice. Not as high tech. This interior's kind of been out since 2016 or 2017 when the second gen Ridgeline came out. It was just updated in 2024 with the new gauge cluster and new infotainment, which is why I bought this, but it is a little bit dated. This does also have a sunroof as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's under the hood of both of these machines. So under the hood of the 2025 Santa Cruz is a 2.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder mated to an 8-speed dual clutch automatic transmission. Makes about 281 horsepower and like 311 pound-feet of torque. Gets about 22-23 miles a gallon combined. I've been averaging about 22 real-world driving MPG this week. Pretty good powertrain, lots of torque down low. I'll get into the driving characteristics on both of these when we take them both for a spin here in a few moments. Over here on the 2025 Ridgeline, you do get the tried and true 3.5-liter V6 mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission, conventional automatic transmission. Makes about 280 horsepower and like 269 pound-feet of torque. So not as torquey as that. You definitely do feel it while driving this. This Ridgeline gets 20 to 21 miles a gallon combined, and actually I've been averaging about 21 to 22 miles a gallon combined. So real-world driving scenarios, I've been actually averaging the same MPG with both of these. Both of these vehicles can tow 5,000 pounds as equipped, and the Ridgeline can haul 1,500 pounds in the bed, so the Santa Cruz can haul 1,400 pounds in the bed. They're actually relatively close, despite the Santa Cruz being a little bit smaller in engine size and proportions. Let's go ahead and take a look at the interior of the Santa Cruz. Do get dual heated and ventilated power front seats here. Very comfortable, no complaints at all. Let's go ahead and start her up real quick. Shut the door and cool off. Up front here, you'd greet it with a nice little tablet display here. I believe it's 12.3-inch gauge cluster and infotainment displays. Santa Cruz does have a 360 backup camera, wireless Android Auto, wireless CarPlay, works flawlessly, no problems this week. Dual zone climate control, heated and ventilated seats like I mentioned, heated steering wheel all the way around, which is nice to see. Down here, you do get a wireless cell phone charger, a couple USB-C ports, solid gear selector here, a couple cup holders, drive mode selector, all-wheel drive lock, auto hold, hill descent control, decent size center console, decent size glove box, some storage up here, which I like to see, auto dimming rear view mirror with garage home link, and illuminated visor mirrors as well. Over here, you do get 2-person memory for the driver. This interior is pretty nice. It does have some rattles and squeaks, just like my Honda Ridgeline, which we will get to in a second. But overall, the quality in here is nice. The materials are pretty good for the price. It's definitely a lot more high-tech than the Honda Ridgeline. You do get a lot more features, ambient lighting, this nice Bose stereo system that sounds really good. So let's go ahead and hop on over to the Ridgeline and talk about the interior there. 2-person memory seats, heated, no ventilated. Let's go ahead and climb in here and start her up. I do have 3,700 miles on my Ridgeline here. Up front here, you greet it with a pretty nice, pretty dated cabin, which I appreciate. You do get a half digital, half analog gauge cluster, a decent size infotainment. I believe this is 8 inches. Backup camera, which is okay. No 360 backup camera here. You do get a dual zone climate control system, actually tri-zone climate control system. You can control the rear climate. A little bit of storage here, heated seats. Don't know why they're on, because I'm burning up. Wireless charger down here, a couple USB ports. 12-volt outlet, your gear selector, drive mode selector, auto stop start selector, a couple cup holders, a huge center console, and a huge glove box as well. Auto dimming rear view mirror with home link, sunglasses holder, and illuminated visor mirrors up here. This interior is pretty nice. The materials are nice. Like I said, this interior is a bit dated, but it gets the job done. And it's pretty utilitarian in my opinion. You get a lot more storage in the doors than you would in the Santa Cruz, but you don't get that clever shelf that you do get in the Santa Cruz either. So with all that being said, let's go hop back in the Santa Cruz real quick and take it for a spin around the block, and I'll give you my impressions on what it's been like to live with this week. Right off the bat here, I apologize if the lighting looks absolutely terrible in this video, because this is the only nice day that we've had, and I prefer cloudy days because it's a lot better for, you know, cameras to not like black out everything. But unfortunately, this is the only day I had that I could do that. This week I have put 310 miles and spent 11 hours in the seat here, and I've averaged 22.4 miles a gallon. During this time, I've noticed that these seats are extremely comfortable, much more comfortable than the Honda Ridgeline that I have, and a lot more pleasurable on longer road trips. You get Hyundai's blind spot cameras, and you do get blind spot monitoring in the mirrors as well. I love that. This thing absolutely hauls. This thing is very, very quick. It would leave the Ridgeline in the dust. A lot more torquey, a lot faster from 0 to 60. Very impressive powertrain here. The only thing I really don't particularly care for is the 8-speed dual clutch transmission. It's very smooth, it shifts quick, it's good for the most part, except when you start out in first gear. Occasionally I will get judders, like somebody with a manual transmission is taking their sweet time releasing the clutch and kind of burning up the clutch a little bit. It's kind of what it feels like. I really wish Hyundai would just put a regular 8-speed conventional automatic like the Ridgeline or some other Hyundai products. But that's my only complaint with the powertrain of this vehicle. At speed, it's relatively quiet. There is some tire noise, but the ride is very good. This is actually borderline Lexus quality of ride. It's one of the best riding vehicles I've been in quite some time, actually. You hardly feel any bumps over the road. It's a lot better riding than the Honda Ridgeline for sure. And a Honda Ridgeline rides pretty good compared to a pickup truck. Steering wheel is very comfortable. Climate controls and everything's pretty easy to navigate. Do have these little haptic buttons down here. Can get annoying at some times, but I mean, at least there's physical controls. It's not tied in the infotainment. Visibility is great. Even out the back window is good. With this being a little bit smaller than the Ridgeline, it's a lot more easy to navigate in parking spaces and traffic. Yeah, this thing is just very, very quick. It is a lot more fun and engaging to drive than the Ridgeline for sure. It handles better and it just kind of feels like a car, to be honest with you. Let's go ahead and do a quick 0 to 60. We'll go ahead and put this into sport mode here. Come to a complete stop and floor it. This thing is ridiculously quick for what it is. Probably going to get roasted in the comments saying that it's quick, but I mean, not every car, guys, needs to go from 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. This Santa Cruz comes with automatic high beams and automatic wipers as well for your convenience. That's pretty nice. I believe the Ridgeline Black Edition also comes with automatic high beams as well. I don't think mine does. Let's test out these paddle shifters behind the steering wheel real quick. What the heck? Why are they so responsive? The heck? That's hilarious. These are actually really quick to respond. That's impressive. This vehicle also does come equipped with Hyundai's Highway Driving Assist, has the adaptive cruise control, lane centering, works really well. No complaints at all this week with that. Definitely reduces fatigue on the highway. This does have a tow haul mode. You just press that button over there and it has like a tow mode that you can turn on. So I said this to all my friends, all this Santa Cruz is pretty much just a compact Honda Ridgeline. It does everything the Honda Ridgeline can, just smaller and just a little bit less payload capacity. Is it better than the Honda Ridgeline? No. Is the Honda Ridgeline better than this? No. They both have different use cases. If you just need a smaller vehicle, you don't need the space and the room of the Honda Ridgeline, but you still need like a bed to do weekend projects, put a lawnmower, a weed eater, some dirt, mulch or something back there, or you just want to tow a boat or, you know, your snowmobile or something like that, this thing can do it. All right, let's go ahead and get in the Ridgeline and see how that does on the road. Right off the bat here, you can definitely tell this vehicle feels a lot bigger than the Santa Cruz. I would say road noise is about the same. Do get blind spot monitoring over here in the mirrors. No blind spot monitoring cameras, unfortunately. Honda used to have a blind spot system back in the day. It was called Lane Watch or something like that, where they had cameras in the mirrors and the information obviously would display up here. But they got rid of that in exchange, I guess, for blind spot monitoring. A little bit of a bummer. I would have loved to have that. So like I said, the Santa Cruz interior does have some rattles, and the Honda Ridgeline that I have has some rattles as well. I got some rattles over here and a rattle that I can't seem to track down over in the corner. So both of them rattle. Definitely tell the Santa Cruz is a lot torqueier here at 58 miles an hour. Pretty nice ride. It's a little bit firmer than the Santa Cruz. Definitely feel a lot more bumps. It's a lot better than a half-ton pickup, but it's definitely not as smooth and refined as the Santa Cruz is. Visibility is pretty good as well. No thick pillars. Nice size rear window. Half-ton pickup, definitely handles like a half-ton pickup. The Ridgeline handles like an SUV, and the Santa Cruz handles like a nice little sedan. Ridgeline here has auto start stop. The Santa Cruz does not. So every time I start up this vehicle, I do have to press this button to turn off auto start stop. You can buy eliminators for that, but I'm just too lazy to do that. I don't mind auto start stop, to be honest with you. Now both the Ridgeline and the Santa Cruz are all-wheel drive. You do get some drive modes in the Ridgeline here. You get snow, mud, sand, and normal. These are more of the all-wheel drive modes rather than throttle and transmission mapping. The Ridgeline has a more advanced all-wheel drive system than the Santa Cruz, but both definitely work well in off-road and snow situations. No sport mode here, but let's go ahead and do a 0 to 60 in the Ridgeline, come to a complete stop, and floor it. Definitely launches a lot harder than the Santa Cruz. Actually, I do forget, I do have a sport mode in the transmission. Doesn't make that much of a difference, but very quick. You can definitely hear VTEC kicking in. I love that sound. The whole reason why I bought the Ridgeline is just to hear that VTEC noise. VTEC crossover at about, I think, 5,200 RPM in the Ridgeline. Now, obviously, I have a full tank, and obviously it's been sitting around, so I've been getting 17.2 miles a gallon. But if I go to my trip computer and we take a look at the history, I'll be getting 22, 20, 20.8. So relatively about the same as the Santa Cruz. Real world MPG. Both have a pretty good driving position, easy access to the controls. Obviously the screen in the Santa Cruz is much more pleasant to look at. Oh my goodness. I don't know what that buzzing is, but it is driving me up a wall. Wireless charger works good in both vehicles. They heat up the phone to a nice crispy 350 degrees and charge about 10% per hour. Now, I wanted to touch on a reliability subject because I know I mentioned the dual clutch transmission in the Santa Cruz potentially being a problem, especially with towing and the juddering I was feeling. That's not being said that the Ridgeline doesn't have its fair share of reliability issues either. I actually have had some pretty bad brake problems with this Ridgeline here. The first 1,000 miles or so, the brake pedal would just almost go to the floor, and I took it into the dealer. I'm like, guys, what the heck is going on here? And it turns out the master cylinder and the brake booster were bad in a brand new Honda Ridgeline. This has been going on for years with Passports, Pilots, and Ridgelines because they're all on the similar platform, and they still haven't got it right in 2025, and I just happened to get it done. There's also been reported some cabin water intrusion on the Ridgelines as well. Some of the earlier models with the 6-speed transmission have failed. Obviously the Honda Ridgeline has been around for quite some time, and it has a lot more stellar reliability ratings because just the amount of vehicles that have been produced and how long it's been on the road. So reliability on both these, the Ridgeline and the Santa Cruz, they both definitely have their issues for sure. Let's see what the paddle shifters feel like. Never used these because I never thought to use them on my Ridgeline. Yeah, I mean, they're not super responsive. They're just there. It does have adaptive cruise control and lane centering as well. It is absolutely garbage, in my opinion. It doesn't work very well, bounces you all over the lines, and the adaptive cruise control is just, it barely works, in my opinion. Slams on the brakes, gases. It's obvious. It's probably one of the worst systems I've ever used in 2025. But I have mine set to just use regular cruise control, no adaptive, and I've been just fine. Did forget to talk about the stereo system here in the Honda Ridgeline as well. This does not have the upgraded stereo system like you would in the Black Edition. The stereo system here in the RTL, the Trail Sport, and the Sport models are actually hot garbage. Probably one of the worst stereo systems I've heard in quite some time. But that could be easily upgraded. I've seen a lot of people online upgrade these systems in these base models, Ridgelines, pretty easily. All right, so that's going to be it for the video on this kind of head-to-head comparison on these not a real trucks, which I think they're trucks. I mean, that's my opinion there. Let me know your guys' thoughts on both of these in the comments. I love reading your guys' comments and engaging with you. Which one do you think is better? Which one do you think is better for the price? I don't know. I actually don't know. Both have their cons, both have their positives. Obviously, the Ridgeline's a bit more dated, but it's definitely probably more reliable in the long run. But overall, this Santa Cruz is a really solid option and gives the Ridgeline a run for its money. Shout out to Hyundai for providing this vehicle for me to film this week. It's been a pleasure. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll go ahead and see you in the next video. Take care, everybody.